Hi, we're here at the law firm of Luigi Rosabianca, and we're going to talk about a real estate law called the Local Law 11, which deals with how buildings are mandated, I believe, every 5 years to inspect the facade, which means they have to put up a scaffolding. Now, you can explain that better. When did this law go into effect, and maybe summarize the law?
Early 80s, we actually had people getting hurt and some fatal injuries with loose flying bricks.
And that was back in the 80s?
1980.
Okay. Do you know which politician it was by?
It was passed and approved by Mayor Koch.
Okay, so, okay.
Yeah, the city council passed it, and then.
So this is a city law.
Yeah, it's a local law.
Okay.
And it's proven to be a success because there have been.
Elaborate on that, and why do we see these scaffoldings stick around for years? Do you have any?
Well, Stephen, we can't answer these specific questions with broad strokes because every building has its own reason, every building has its own concerns. I mean, you may have some buildings that took the opportunity of having the scaffolding up for reason A and said, hey, let's do B. If we are, for example, respecting local law 11, hey, let's change the windows, or let's wash the windows, or let's repair the roof, all which would require scaffolding in place. I think what happens, it's at the end of the day a dollars and cents concern because erecting a scaffolding costs so much.
So for a problem scaffolding where it's clearly a stalled project and the scaffolding's up causing property values to deteriorate and an eyesore, is there any recourse for neighbors to do for a stalled project like that?
Well, what you have here is an aesthetic concern that probably will never trump a safety concern. Because if the scaffolding is up, odds are the facade is either imperfect, unfinished, or other works are in progress or soon to be contemplated. So,
okay.
But as crazy as it sounds, it probably makes more economic sense to pay that de minimis monthly rent rather than have it removed and then erected again.
All right, that you had mentioned that, so that there might be. I'm trying
let's take into consideration the implications of local law. If you have a facade that is in disrepair, you have not only statutory fines, but you also have criminal liability. So I think everyone's going to err on the side of caution rather than take a chance. All right. And you're right, there are dozens of examples in the downtown area of scaffolding that has been in place for months, if not years, and you ask yourself, why so long?
Do you know of any efforts from community boards or activists to attempt? A
little bit of an outcry, and the community boards and your local politicians are the first place you go to, but it's a bark with no bite. There really is little recourse if a building owner or managing agent is strictly interpreting the law. So Steve, this is an interesting example because while this building has 4 facades, during their aesthetic improvement and remediation, they've selected to go 1 facade at a time. So they don't have this tremendous eyesore throughout the building. So they're doing this west side, they'll finish this up, do the south side, and then continue. Okay. So this is a perfect example of how you can erect scaffolding efficiently. Okay. Steve, this is an example of a problem scaffolding. This building has been a construction site for about 6 or 7 years. It was a rental building that had attempted a condo conversion. During the condo conversion, we entered into our real estate bust, and it's now in receivership. So while the construction was never completed, the scaffolding has remained in place, like I said, for about 5 or 6 years. Now, if you take a look, you can see how there requires a tremendous amount of remediation and brick replacement. So it's an unsafe condition. So the owners, whether it's through a receiver or the actual owners, have no choice but to keep the scaffolding in place. But the reality is you have people that are living here with an eyesore. You have retailers that have a disrupted ingress and egress to their customers. And it's a problem, but you really don't have a solution to this problem because it must stay in place just for human health and safety.
How long did you said it's been up since about 5 years, you know?
If not more.
And this is what you would call a stalled project?
I would say so.
Yeah. Any hope of it getting resolved soon?
Well, it's in receivership now. The building has gone back to a rental building. Okay. But it's going to take some time for them to remediate it. If you could
Vincent Alessi, you're general manager of Bobby Vans, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And so you're one of the main business owners who's been impacted by the scaffolding. How long do you think it's been a detriment to business, or?
Absolutely. Detriment to any business that's surrounded by scaffolding. Aesthetics, the shadows, you get hidden. The dressing doesn't stand out. The signage is blocked. There's a bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
Steve, we're over on the corner of Liberty and Nassau. Now this scaffolding is a real interesting story. It's been up so long that the Downtown Alliance actually commissioned a couple of local artists to put some pretty print on the scaffolding. As you walk a little closer, you'll notice that it's one of the prettiest scaffoldings around because of the artwork. They'll live the condo, have a difficult time getting in and out, combined with the current barricades and the street construction. It's a bit of a maze.
Yep. How long did you say this has been up?
This has been up a couple of years, but I think we could have an interesting example speaking to one of the local retailers here.
My name is Seth Dads. I'm the owner of Downtown Cellars Wine Store.
How long have the scaffolding been here over your building, over your company?
I believe it's been here about 5 years.
Right. And how much of a problem is it? It's kind of hard to even see it exist.
Yeah, because we're downstairs already, we're hard
Yeah.
to see, and scaffolding certainly hasn't helped.
What's the situation here? What has the building owner and managers said about it?
Well, it's a landmark building. They have work to do. There's not much that can be done about it, and it's very expensive to take the scaffolding down and put it back up, so it's often left up on buildings when there's no work being done.
Is this a victim of the real estate bust? Did something start before 2007 and that's why it stalled, or why?
No, it's just
just a long
painstaking work. It's a landmark building, and they're doing a nice job, but unfortunately, the scaffolding remains for 5 years.
We're over here at Battery Park City now, and we've had a lot of scaffolds that have popped up due to the local law 11. This is Millennium Tower. It's a brand new building, and they were forced to put up the scaffolding even though there's really nothing going on. We're here at 3 Place and Battery Place, another scaffolding for local law 11. This is 225 Rector. It was one of those stalled projects, and these scaffolds have been up for years, but they finally took them down only to promptly put them up again. We've spoken to the new building manager, and they claim that they're up now for window replacements.